Hey guys, today I got a kind of cool subject. It's a subject we cover a little bit. We talk about it every once in a while. It's red flags. You're gonna hear a little bit of wind here today, so I'm gonna head into the house. But today, the reason why I want to talk about red flags is because it's something so many people overlook here. They overlook all the time, and it's a problem. And the problem is this. A lot of the expat issues that we have over here are because we don't listen to the cues that we have out there that are being sent to us, and those are the red flags. The red flags are a very big issue here, and I want to get into this kind of deep today because it's kind of an issue that a lot of us don't pay attention to, and we kind of get comfortable sometimes, or we just don't want to deal with the hassle of what we have to do to get rid of the issue at hand when we see those red flags. And a lot of guys, it could be dating, and we're gonna go off on this in a lot of different paths. And I want to talk about it because it's so important. And this is this. A lot of the guys over here have had issues with girls. The issues could vary from anything. They could be just little flags going up, hitting you up for money, hitting you up for load all the time. You barely know the girl. The girl's just starting to all of a sudden hit you up for all types of stuff. That's a problem. It's a red flag. But I mean, I don't want to get so much into the issue of, how to deal with certain red flags. I want to talk about the red flags themselves. A lot of older guys, when they come over here, we're tired of going through hell. And they keep saying, when you're going through hell, keep on walking. Just keep on walking. You'll get out. Just keep walking. A lot of guys, when they're in hell, they just kind of stay there. They see the red flags that they're in hell, but they don't keep walking. They stay there. They're comfortable. Or they're too tired to walk maybe. They're too tired to fight. They're too tired to argue. They're too tired to put up the effort that they have to keep on keeping on, to be happy. And sometimes, and I don't want to get into this part too much, I'm talking about really die-hard red flags. And only you know inside how bad the issues that you're dealing with are. Now, a lot of red flags might just be nothing. There might be something that'll just pass, or you can live with, or you can deal with people. And sometimes they're red flags that build up, and it comes to like a pile. You have a pile of red flags there, and all of a sudden then all of a sudden you find out that you're in trouble. It's the devil rears his ugly head. Let's just put it that way. And it's best in the Philippines to just kind of deal with them head on and quickly sometimes. Unless you know the person fairly well, and you can deal with them. The red flags, man, a lot of guys here, because the culture is so different, girls here are different. The girls here can cause you a lot of issues. They can cause you hell. And you want to break up like in a decent manner or something like that, if it's a breakup, or if you're in a short-term relationship, you're trying to break up, or you just met a girl and maybe you had her stay over the house a few times, maybe something like that, and all of a sudden you're just starting to see the red flags, and you're not liking it, and you just want to kind of end it and just end it in a nice and decent way. But she's thinking, oh, he just took advantage of me, and you might not have. And that's why you don't get involved too quickly here sometimes. A lot of the guys just jump in. Angels, there's that old saying, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And this is one of those places where people tend to do that, because they see these beautiful young girls going after them, and they go gaga. These 50, 60, and 70-year-old guys out there, they go crazy. They go absolutely crazy over everything. They go nuts. They just go absolutely bonkers. It's like, man, head over heels. And those red flags are popping up all around them, and they're like so focused on the girl and her looks and the beauty that the red flags just get kind of ignored until suddenly they're in trouble one way or the other, because the girl's just a nutcase and she's, aggressive or passive aggressive, and her behavior is really starting to rear its ugly head or what have you. That can be really rough on anybody. It can be rough on any guy. I've been through relationships like that before. But here's the other thing. it's not just girls here that you should be aware of the red flags. Sometimes the expats around you, there are tons of red flags. I see red flags going up around me sometimes, and there's nothing I can do about it. I seen some red flags the other day going up. I was trying to get out of something. Somebody jumps right in like a fool and doesn't know what he's getting himself into. I see stuff like that all the time. I see it on a daily basis as somebody that helps expats, because I'm surrounded by expats. We have some people in the group that they left on their own accord or whatever. We see that. We see expats, external expats that call me once in a while. They call me with their issues and tell me their problems and stuff. And sometimes I see them as like, and I tell them too, when I run into them, that I try to get them thinking, like, because some of them, you have to talk to them in a way that you have to let them know that sometimes they're the problem. Sometimes they're the problem, And I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and I could see from what he told me that he was the problem. And after I brought it to his attention, I says, you're telling me the story here. And I says, and you're telling me the story. And as you're telling me the story, this popped into my head, and I told him what it was. And I don't want to say too much because some of you guys probably know this guy. But when he was telling me the story, I says, dude, you are the problem. Like, it's not your girlfriend, it's you. And as I was talking to him, I was like, and he says, you know what? He said, I never thought of it that way, but you know what? You could be right. I says, a lot of the things here that you're talking to me about are issues that have to do with stuff that you already started, and you kind of laid down the track for it to head this way. And like, after listening, at first he kind of denied it, and then he says, you know what? I never really thought of it the way that you're telling me. But I repeated some of the stuff that he had said, and I says, well, you kind of laid down the track for this. You kind of brought this problem upon yourself without getting too much into the problem, because I don't want to really say it out there, because quite a few people know this person. But anyway, afterwards he realized it, but he didn't see the red flags. He even laid the groundwork for the trouble. And a lot of times we do lay the groundwork. We do lay the groundwork sometimes for our own problems. We do lay the groundwork. Sometimes it could be throwing cash at people. Sometimes it could be doing things like that, setting yourself up. That comes back and haunts you. But also, this problematic expats around you. Some people, when you live around people, maybe you have an enemy, or maybe you have somebody that you don't talk to anymore, an expat or whatever. Those are the biggest problems in the expat communities, those people. Because those people, they still want to be a part of your life. They still want to make sure that they can get their digs in. And sometimes when you step away from sometimes they jump in too fast, not realizing what they're getting themselves into. And I've seen this several times over the past 6 months, and I've seen it just recently too. I see people jumping in where they don't know what they're getting themselves into, because they don't know the whole story, and then they jump in, and I'm like, wow, these people are really stupid. And I just laugh, because these people, they jump in and they think that they're gonna become heroes or whatever. They think that they're gonna become heroes, or they're gonna look good or something like that. And I see that kind of stuff going on all the time with people. All the time with people. I see, these fools that just rush in without knowing the whole story. Without knowing the whole story. They don't know the whole story. They don't see the problems because they haven't lived in it before and stuff like that. They just jump in like idiots, and it's kind of shameful what these people do, because in the beginning they might look like the hero, but later on they're going to feel like a fool, and I've seen so many times this happen. I've seen it happen with other people around me. I've heard it from other people. These are problematic expats that have issues. The people that run into the most problems in the Philippines are the ones that were loners before. The ones that were loners before. And loners tend to have more problems because of the fact that when they go to seek love and affection from people, they tend to lose a part of themselves, but also they give too much to overcompensate for all the love that they haven't been able to give out. So they overcompensate. And then after a while, they kind of kick themselves later on. And I see that with some of the expats around here. They've been loners for a good chunk of their lives, and they try to, buy their block of love. Buy it. Keyword, buy. I've seen that with many, many, many expats, and I've talked to many, many expats on the phone about this. Do not buy this person. Don't buy these people. Don't buy your friends. You shouldn't have to give money to buy friends. If you want to help people and you want to help people in your neighborhood, you want to do things like that, that's great. You want to help people out there in your community, that's great. But you know what? Be careful how much you get involved with people's lives, especially if you're stepping on other expats' toes. That can be dangerous. Because you don't know what you're doing, and you're going to piss off some of the wrong people sometimes, and that's what happens here. It happens all the time. I mean, I've talked about an expat before that lives south of here that had problems with a neighbor, man, and it grew out of control. It was totally out of control, and it was about music and stuff like that. But I mean, I've heard hundreds of stories like this before from expats that I've talked to here, and I've had a couple of them call me and say, Steve, what can I do? And, sometimes a barangay captain can help you out if it's just a local, but if it's somebody in the gated community, they're protected. They're protected. The only thing you can do is sue them, and that can be really difficult too. But I mean, I'll tell you this. If you live in a neighborhood, there's barangay captains that can try to resolve or settle stuff like that. They settle family disputes, expat disputes. They don't like to. They hate to. In fact, they hate dealing with expats. They do, because they understand that expats have problems here too, and that's why I say it's kind of good to know your barangay captain here. It really is good to know your barangay captain here. It's a really good thing to know your barangay captain and the people in the barangay, because that's going to help you in the future. If you ever have a problem or a dispute with a girlfriend, a ex-wife, expats, stuff like that, it's best that they know who you are. It's best that they know who you are, to just get to know those people, because that's very helpful sometimes, having that person in your corner, because they get to know you and they know who you are as a person. So when somebody comes up and starts passing false crap about you, at least they know who you are. They know what you're about, and it's good to have people that really know you and can protect you from people here, because sometimes you're going to run into problems here where people can be problematic and almost threatening and dangerous here because of issues. The issues over here are different than back in the U.S. I've had problems in the U.S. where they got out of control and dangerous too. And I see it over here because it's harder to solve those problems through a barangay, through the police, things like that. It's very difficult because a lot of people will not show up at your door like the police here. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't work the same way here. So it can be downright dangerous sometimes when things start happening, because people will lob things at you. Gossip goes around about you, things like that. You need to be careful wherever you live. And the best way to do it is a low profile. Now, can I keep a low profile? It's very hard for me to keep a low profile as a expat vlogger. It's probably one of the difficult things about my job, and for most vloggers here, is some of the crap that we have to put up with from some people, both sometimes people around us that are jealous or whatever, or some people that are just idiots and just want to take you down because you're a vlogger and they find entertainment in that. We see that too. We have those people out there too. We have that, and some of these people are dangerous. We had, like that vlogger that I was talking about, we had a vlogger down south here get punched in the side of the head by somebody, and it's kind of sad when that happens, because that should never, ever happen. In fact, that person should have been kicked out after that. They should have been kicked out of the Philippines after that, because that's assault and battery. Anything having to do with assault and battery, that person should be, boom, right out the door, and these are things that we're going to see here. Red flags. When you see red flags, walk away. When you see a red flag with an expat, walk away. When you see red flags with girlfriends over and over or whatever, and you start seeing those, sometimes even right from the get-go, say, hey, listen, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to put up with it. That's what you need to say. You need to stop those red flags from happening. You need to be one step ahead of all this stuff all the time. But anyway, guys, I wanted to bring that up. Keep that in your expat, toolbox. Hey, I need to have a good head on my shoulders. I need to be watching out for those red flags and be aware and know how to handle those. Because if you don't handle those red flags and you just get complacent, those red flags get bigger and bigger and bigger until it turns into a pile of crap. And all of a sudden you realize, wow, how am I going to get out of this now? I let it go this long. And then people think, if you keep letting those red flags go, they think you're an easy target. God bless, guys. Take care. Take that to heart. You know, it happens here just like it does back home. We have our problems here just like we do back home. God bless.